Hey, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Ivy, and today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up. So I'm going to be talking about the TV shows and movies that I watched and the books that I read in the month of June. I am not going to be doing a July TBR because I'm planning to do the reading rush, and I have no idea what I'm going to read for that. Let's start with shows. The first show that I watched this month was the show that literally everyone has been watching, and that is Outer Banks. This is a show on Netflix. The first season came out, I don't know, a few months ago, and it's just a super fun show about a gang of teenagers on a treasure hunt in Outer Banks. The setting is obviously fantastic. It's so much fun just to see them go around the island and, you know, their hijinks, all the fun stuff that happens. The character dynamics of this show are pretty great, like the friend group, the Pogues, they're so tight. And I don't know, that was definitely my favorite part, is just watching them together. This show is kind of a mess at times, but like I sat back, I had fun. It was very entertaining. It gave me something to look forward to when I would watch it at night. And I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and yes, it did make me cry. The next show that I watched was The Marvelous Mrs Maisel Season 3. So this is an Amazon Prime show, and so far there are only 3 seasons, but I'm 99% sure there's going to be a Season 4. This is about a female comedian named Mrs Maisel. Well, that's her stage name. She is on the rise to fame in the late 1960s, I believe. It's such a funny show, and I love it so much. The costumes are just so good, like it's mind-blowing, and also just the general atmosphere and feeling that this show has, I love. All of the characters, like literally every single one, they're all hysterical, but in season 3 especially, Susie shines. And if you haven't seen the show, when you watch the show, you will know what I'm talking about because Susie is the best. The ending of this season hit me so hard, and so I'm like counting down the days until season 4, but I don't even know when season 4 comes out. I gave season 3 a 5 out of 5 stars, and I did not cry. Okay, so moving on to movies, the first movie that I watched this month was Spotlight. This follows the team of journalists that kind of uncovered and exposed the sexual abuse scandal in the Catholic Church. This was so fascinating and terrifying just to see how hard it was for them to uncover all of this horrible stuff that was going on. It's terrifying, but also it's such a gripping movie. It definitely did make me want to become a journalist because it's so cool, and that's probably my favorite part, was just seeing how all this stuff works. Like, investigative journalism is so cool to me. The only thing that I didn't like about it was kind of confusing because there were a bunch of names and I couldn't keep who was who straight outside of like our main team, so that was a little frustrating, but I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and it did not make me cry. Next is Gladiator. I was so excited to see this movie, and I was not disappointed in the slightest. Basically, the simplified version is we follow an important Roman general who has been enslaved to prevent him from becoming the emperor because the current emperor dies, and then the emperor's son wants the power for himself, and he sees the main character, the general, as a threat, so he's like, you're gonna be a slave now, bye-bye. It's so intense and so dark and so violent because it's about gladiators, but it's so good and so inspiring. The action scenes were so good, like so good, but like they were hard to watch, but that's good in an action scene, you know? Like, it made me uncomfortable in the best way possible. The villain was the best villain I have seen in such a long time. I hate his guts. I can't even tell you the last time I felt this strongly that I needed to reach through the screen and punch somebody in the face. I loved all the politics and the ancient Roman stuff. I know like very basically what goes on, but I don't know. I was like, oh my god, every time I noticed something that I knew, I was like, oh look, I know that because big brain. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. It would have been 5 stars, but the beginning was really slow for me. I don't know why. It did not make me cry, even though the ending was really sad. Next we have Clueless. It was really funny and really entertaining and fun, and I loved the main character. There were so many references that I'm sure I didn't understand, and if I had, I would have appreciated it a lot more. It was kind of weird and problematic though, just, I don't know. There were certain things that made me uncomfortable. I can't really tell you without spoiling, though. The other thing was it went all over the place. Like, I feel like it didn't have one, like, specific thing. Like, it just kind of jumped around in a way that wasn't really cohesive for me. I don't know. It just didn't really work for my brain. But it was entertaining and I enjoyed myself, so I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I did not cry. No, I didn't cry. Next is Lady Bird. Oh my god, this movie was so good. I had never heard of it, and then my friend was like, yo, let's watch Lady Bird. So I was like, okay, sure. The core of it is a mother-daughter relationship, and naturally that relationship isn't great. The daughter is in high school and she wants to be called Lady Bird, so that's why it's called Lady Bird. And I absolutely adored her. I really, really, really need to look up the actress's name, but it was such a great performance and I was in love with her. She was so... I don't know, the character was great. The entire movie is just so relatable and raw and, like, hard to handle at times, but also, like, uplifting, and I don't know, I love this movie. 5 out of 5 stars, I did not cry. And the last movie that I watched was 10 Things That I Hate About You, and this was actually really good. This was another one that I had never heard of, and then when I watched it, I was very pleasantly surprised. Basically, it's in high school and there's like this elaborate plan hatched by multiple people to get certain people to date, and then like fake dating ends up being real dating, and it was just really fun. It was hilarious. Like, I laughed so hard at some parts, which obviously is good. The romance and the characters were solid and it was enough to keep me hooked, and I just had a lot of fun and gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I did not cry. So now on to books. Unfortunately, I only read 2 books this month, but it's better than nothing, I guess. The first thing I read was The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien and edited by Christopher Tolkien. This is basically just a book of history and lore of Middle-earth. Lots of people consider it, including Tolkien himself, I think, to be his most important work. I learned so much from this book, and yet I'm still so lost. It's so incredibly dense, and it's a lot. Like, this is the font, and it's basically just an entire history of Middle-earth. There were so many aha moments, though. Like, I kept coming across stuff, and then something clicked in my brain, and I was like, oh. The best thing about this, in my opinion, is you get to see the creation of Middle-earth. Like, literally, we go from the beginning, before Middle-earth is even a thing, and the mythology and everything, and it just blows my mind how complicated this world is and how it could possibly come out of one human's brain. Like, what? I'm absolutely in love with Middle-earth, and I'm definitely gonna read more Tolkien in the future, but this was so good. I'm so glad that I read it, and I can't wait to read Loader again, having all the knowledge that I gained from here. Like, I'm gonna be picking up on so much, and I'm so excited for that day. This gets a 5 out of 5 stars, and I did not cry. And the last thing that I read was Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. So this is book 1 in the Infernal Devices trilogy, which is a prequel to the Mortal Instruments series. This trilogy takes place in 1778 London, I think. And we follow Tessa Gray, and she is arriving in London, and she is expecting to meet her brother, but instead she gets captured and then told that she has powers that she never knew about. I made an entire video based on this book, so if you read it or just want to hear more about what I thought about it, I'll have it linked down there. This book was great. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and it did not make me cry. Okay, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time with another video. Bye.